Hey y'all, this is the What is Analysis lecture. What you see on the screen is my lecture notes that I normally lecture from, so I'm just going to display those on the screen and y'all can listen to me talk as I go through them. If you have not already read the thesis statement and topics in its PowerPoint, please do so, or else some of this will not make as much sense. So, our next essay that we're writing is an analysis essay. So it's specifically a process analysis essay, but what is analysis in general? Analysis is when we break down information into parts. We look at how those parts work individually and together, determine why they work that way, and then we draw conclusions from that. And we find evidence to support these conclusions that we have drawn. So analysis requires critical thinking, and this is supposed to say tips, but 5 tops to improve critical thinking. Critical thinking always starts with a question: why, how, what, where, when, why, how. And then you gather information to answer your question, be it from your own brain, from things you've seen, from things you experienced, from things you've read about, data, things like that. And then you apply the information. You're like, okay, how does this information answer my question? And once you figure out the answer to your question, you consider the implications. Okay, well, what does this conclusion mean? And then explore other points of view, because not everybody is going to have the same point of view as you, and sometimes people are just very wrong, but you can't know that without doing some critical thinking yourself. So we are going to, like I said, write a process analysis essay. An analytical thesis statement basically looks like, what is the claim and so what? So you can also have how this claim is supported, but I'm less concerned with that and more with what are you trying to tell me and why do I want to know? You are either describing a step-by-step directions on how to do something, which is called an instructional process analysis, or you are doing step-by-step explanatory guidance and telling me how something works. So what are you telling me? Are you telling me how to do something or how something works? And why are you telling me? Those are the 2 things I want you to address in your thesis statement. So when we write a process analysis essay, the introduction needs to explain the actual process and why it's important. Okay, so you're going to state that really simply in your thesis statement. You're going to have a longer introduction than just the thesis statement, but you're going to have the actual process and why it's important. You don't need a whole lot of background info. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just explaining it and why it's important. In your body paragraph, you should start with a list of materials, resources needed to make this process happen. And after you've listed the resources, take your reader step by step through the process. The goal is that theoretically your reader could recreate this exact process and get the same results, okay? Very sciencey in that aspect. And then in your conclusion, let the reader know what to expect from the final results so they can check their own results if they try to recreate your process. Very sciencey. Tips. Over-explaining with too many steps is way better than under-explaining with not enough steps. I would much rather you go on for too long than go on for not long enough. Identify landmarks in the process. So when we're driving, we're like, okay, do I turn by the Walmart or the Sonic? So that's what I mean by landmarks, okay? Identify those important moments in your process that your reader really needs to be paying attention for. What should they see? What should they hear? What should they smell at this landmark? What should be happening? Let them know what to expect. Use words and phrases that your audience will understand. If it's a technical term, define it as needed. So I hesitate to use the phrase, but keep it simple, right? We want to keep it simple. We want to make sure that what we're trying to communicate comes across clearly and that somebody really knows how to do this process. Then have someone who is unfamiliar with the process read your essay and tell you where in the essay something doesn't make sense. So have someone who doesn't know how this process works read it and be like, okay, well, I don't think I could do it because this, and this. And that's what we're doing with this essay. So let's talk about the essay assignment sheet. Before we get to the prompts, I am asking you to be a little more creative with this essay because this essay is very easy to plagiarize. So I make the prompts very creative, which is going to be, I think, kind of fun because you're going to get to make some stuff up, and who doesn't love to do that? So this essay must be at least 2.5 pages long. It must be in MLA format. It must follow one of the prompts given. Yes, it must follow one of the prompts that I give you. You cannot deviate. And it must not be plagiarized. Your rough draft is due Wednesday, July 12th on Blackboard in the Process Analysis Rough Draft Discussion Board. I will show you where that, or you should have already seen where that is in the Watch First video. Your peer review is due Friday, July 14th by midnight on Blackboard as a comment in the Process Analysis Rough Draft Discussion Board. I will show you how to do that in the peer review how-to video. That's where I show you how to do that. I couldn't remember the name of it. Your final draft is due Sunday, July 16th by midnight on Blackboard in the Process Analysis Final Draft Submission link. So here are your prompts. Process analysis starts with, or any critical thinking really starts with a question. So here are my questions to get you started on your process analysis essay. And you can pick any of these, how many, 5? Any of them that you want. How do you grow plants on Mars? How can sharks live in the forest? How do you decorate for the Mad Hatter's Tea Party? How can Bigfoot stay hidden? How do you bake cookies for dinosaurs? So those are my questions that I'm posing to you. Tell me how to do, or how to do one of these, or how one of them works. Yeah, those are your prompts. And then I give you a suggested outline. I'm not going to go through this line by line. You can read this. It's just a breakdown of how your essay should kind of look when you start writing. This will be a great tool to use for pre-writing because you can just either make your own outline and just next to it you can write introduction, and then next to your one where I say tell your reader what the process is, literally type out what the process you are. How to bake cookies for dinosaurs. Tell the reader why your process is important, and then write your thesis, so on and so forth. You can create your own outline, but this is just a template for you. So that is the process analysis essay, and that is what analysis is. I know you are possibly angry at these, but that's okay. They're going to be fun. The good thing about it, while there is no research to do, that's also a good thing, right? These are not necessarily real things, so you get to make stuff up, and the process gets to be whatever you want it to be. So if you have questions, comments, concerns about the process analysis essay, if you have questions about due dates, or anything like that, where to submit something, how to submit something, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. Reach out if you need me.